It is about to get spicy in here. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet Critic reviews just dropped a little less than an hour ago. I saw one review score, and I thought, you know what? I should do a video checking out all these review scores, reading the little excerpts from sites like IGN and GameSpot and Game Informer, and see what the critical consensus is on Scarlet and Violet. Let's get into it. Now, if you miss my videos, you should go check out my impressions and review of the game. But basically, my biggest issue is that the frame rate and the performance of the game is actually unacceptable. It's really bad. But as you can see here on Metacritic, it is sitting at a hot little 78, making it one of the worst reviewed Pokemon games in recent memory. In fact, before I even check that, let's just look up Pokemon. Shield has a higher score. Scarlet and Violet both at 78. Arceus is at an 83. Brilliant Diamond and... Okay, so those are at 73. So those are a little bit worse. New Pokemon Snap spinoff, don't really count that. DLC. I'm curious about like X and Y and stuff, right? Ultra Sun at 84. Sun and Moon 80 or 87. Let's Go Pikachu 79. So definitely on the lower end of reviews. But let's go back and actually check some of these scores out. See why critics are reviewing Pokemon Scarlet and Violet at a 78 average. Which it's still not bad, obviously. And I keep saying this in my videos. The game is not bad. It's just that performance, it actually does detract from the experience. So here we have critic views. Let me zoom this in here. We'll just read through the excerpts. 25 positive, 11 mixed, and 0 negative. So 78th best Switch game of 2022. It's not like this game is any slouch, but maybe going with a little bit more of a tempered expectation here in a few hours when the game does release. Got a 10 out of 10 from The Enemy. Don't know that outlet. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet's technical problems and lackluster multiplayer are unable to overshadow its triumphant leap into an open world. Compelling characters, a huge batch of new characters or creatures, and an excellent OSC help the titles in their mission to renovate the franchise. They celebrate everything that makes Pokemon games endearing, the mysteries, the surprises, the feeling of freedom, and in doing so, create an experience that's probably the best in the entire main series. Okay. Here we have a 9. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet is exactly how you adapt years of tradition to the current design formula. The game is living proof that each and every change is a perfect chance to take a step forward. In this specific sense, the risks that Nintendo undertook have certainly paid off. The 9th Pokemon generation, I don't know why they said Nintendo. Nintendo has nothing to do with this game. The 9th Pokemon generation will certainly be one to talk about for years. Paldea is not about representing a culture, but those of us who live within it. I can only be proud to belong to a place that has seen it with so much beauty from the outside. Long live Pokemon, long live Game Freak, and long live all those that made happen this beauty of a game. 85, with the open world concept of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, Game Freak does a great job. Nearly from the start on, the players are free to explore the diverse region of Paldea, and in a way, in which order they want to deal with the main story mission branches. There is some room for having an imbalanced gaming experience in that, but thanks to clever world design with some natural boundaries, the game is as good or worse as its predecessors on that point. That's not really a good thing. The biggest weak spot consists of the technical flaws mainly based on the limited hardware power of the Switch. No, that's not... I got so many comments saying, oh, they need to release a Switch 2 because it just can't handle it. This game was made for the Nintendo Switch. That is not an excuse. There are open world games that run on the Switch that are fine. The Switch's hardware is not an issue. The game was designed for the Switch. Game Freak did not optimize the game. VGC Video Games Chronicle, really great outlet, 8 out of 10. The huge expansion and changes to the single-player campaign are great, and the size of the world and the joy of exploration are the best in the series. I would say Legends Arceus is more fun to explore, but definitely this is a more expansive game. And the new Pokemon and battle mechanics introduce all Sing. However, it's just impossible to shake the thought of how much better the game would feel if it was on more powerful hardware or simply ran acceptably on Switch. They don't even think it runs acceptably on Switch. So, yeah. All the people in my comments saying there's a day one patch. No, there isn't. Not one that fixes bugs in performance. I'm telling you. 75 from XGN. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet takes the next step for the franchise thanks to the lush open world. Even the new terrestrializing mechanic is great fun, although it is kind of a reskin of an earlier mechanic that is not at all an accurate description of what terrestrialization is because it changes your type. But okay, you don't know what you're talking about. Amazing music and some smart design choices make it a game you can't miss. At least that's what we would have said if the performance wasn't as bad as it is. Seeing a theme here. People in my comments saying I'm wrong and that performance doesn't matter. It does. It does. 70 from a PC, Wise PC Games reviewing Pokemon. Anyone who can overlook the difficulties will still have fun with the new generation. After all, the core remains collecting medals and completing the Pokédex, which is also entertaining in the new additions. Coupled with the open structure, maybe the Pokemon Company will be able to fix the current construction sites for the 10th generation in a few years. So basically what I kind of said is that it does feel like another half step towards a greater future for Pokemon. A 6 out of 10 from The Guardian. Here, Game Freak draws up an exciting new open world blueprint for the Pokemon franchise, but appears to have lacked the time and know-how to deliver it to spec. Compare this with June's gorgeous Xenoblade Chronicles 3, which runs on the same console. Exactly. It's not even comparable. That game has, comparatively, I mean, that game still has issues, but compared to Pokemon, it looks like freaking Elden Ring. Compared to Xenoblade, which runs on the same console, and it's hard to shake the feeling that you're beta testing an open world Pokemon. It's felt like that for the past 3 games now, but yeah. With more time in the oven, this could have been genuinely exciting. As it stands, this fun-filled adventure asks you to put up with an awful lot more of the rough than the smooth. Yeah, I can see that. Let's open this up, scroll down more. Some more positive ones here. MGG, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet offer an invigorating adventure in the colors of the Iberian Peninsula. We can feel that some sacrifices had to be made on the graphics and technique in particular in order to let players explore the immense region of Paldea. Breathless, it's not on Nintendo Switch that the Pocket Monsters will shine, but this 9th generation will at least have the merit of offering us something new in the license. The open world gameplay is what many fans have been waiting for ages, and Game Freak succeeds in offering interesting scenarios and a worthy endgame with mechanics borrowed from Arceus' success. They didn't borrow the mechanic that mattered, which was the catching. But, you know. Vandal, great review. Quotation forthcoming. Great. Let's see here. IGN Portugal, sure. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet takes 2 steps forward and 1 step back, much to blame for its performance on Nintendo Switch. Still, the new formula is solid and could very well serve as the basis for the next games in the franchise, with plenty of room to grow. With a whole new generation of Pokemons to meet and novel mechanics to master, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet will please new and old fans, casual or competitive alike. Metro Game Central, a significant advancement on Pokemon Sword and Shield, and while it's not hard to see how it could be improved further, this is the most ambitious and entertaining Pokemon has been in a long while. VG 24/7, perhaps the best thing I can say for this game is that it feels more like the anime than ever. Part of that is down to the art, which continues to advance closer to the TV show. Not sure what they're talking about there. Part of that is down to the sense of openness, which imparts a real feeling that this is your adventure and not just a roller coaster where you experience somebody else's. On balance, Legends of Arceus probably just pips it based on the novelty factor of its entirely different approach, but Scarlet and Violet is a delightful vibe, and that vibe is difficult to diminish. What a year to be a Pokemon fan. Pretty much agree with that. Not sure what I was saying about the anime thing, though. PC Mag, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet take the beloved series in a long-awaited open-world direction on the Nintendo Switch, one that's filled with enjoyable battles and multiple storylines. Let's just... Vooks, I follow owner of the site. There's no doubt that Pokemon Scarlet and Violet are the best in the series. The open world is fantastic, the story is incredible, and the game looks amazing, even if the performance is very rocky. That's kind of what I've said also. The game looks fine, but it's just that performance. Frame rate, pop-in, weird lighting glitches, weird texture glitches. I mean, these things all happen very consistently in this game. There are problems in the quality of life issues, but for every negative, there's a dozen more positives that blew me away in every step of the way. It will be divisive, but for me, it's almost everything I wanted from a Pokemon game. Very respectable. God is a Geek 75. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet are great games mired by a host of technical issues. Let's scroll down. Nintendo Life, huge outlet. There are still plenty more ways we'd like to see the Pokemon franchise evolve, but Pokemon Scarlet and Violet has us excited about the series' future. Here's a common theme I'm seeing here. It's a lot of people saying, this is fine, but you know what? We're excited for what they can do next. We've been saying that since X and Y. There's been no real development. It's been a lot of these half steps, and there is obvious progress being made, but it's been a decade since Pokemon went 3D. Now, obviously, the 3D, really since Sword and Shield, I think is the more fair thing, or I guess Let's Go, if you want to count like home console Pokemon. But we've been saying this every year, is that we want it to be good and run well and on all these things. But anyway, we really hope Game Freak can figure out how to smooth out the series' ongoing performance issues on Switch, because they'll certainly rub some players the wrong way, and they're going to become a serious detriment over time. 100% agree. Scarlet and Violet is the most fun and exciting when you're just exploring the open world, and while there are many small new details and improvements to the Pokemon formula, it still plays it safe in a few areas. Regardless, things point towards a promising future for Generation 9 and beyond. It's a smaller step than many may have hoped for, especially considering what Pokemon Legends Arceus did, but it's definitely one in the right direction. Even they're saying, yeah, Legends Arceus was a bigger step in the right direction. Obviously, that's based on whatever you prefer in terms of gameplay. The sixth axis, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet feel like the awkward second evolution of one of its starters. It's growing into something resplendent. It's showing signs of an exciting second type, but it's got that weird vibe of a 20-something that hasn't quite figured out who they actually are. Add that weirdly stretched feeling to the constant technical oddities, and you've got a game that is undoubtedly good fun, but it's still not even in its final form. I can't wait to see what Pokemon becomes, but it's not quite there yet. Damn, this is like... This like, I feel vindicated. The Guardian, 6 out of 10. Here, Game Freak draws up an exciting new open world blueprint for the Pokemon franchise, but appears to have lacked the time and knowledge to deliver it to spec. Compare this with we read this one. Was that the Guardian? Whatever. Game's ready. The basic mechanics of Pokemon remains largely untouched. It's still catching, battling, and training as you remember it. And while that may be enough for many devotees, Generation 9 is a tougher sell for those who need more of a reason to engage with the series, impacted as it is by technical issues, mechanical oversights, and a lack of vision. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet should have been a bright and bold entry that sets the series up for future expansion, but an attempt to modernize while staying loyal to the past hasn't really succeeded in doing either one, and the headache doesn't help to boot. It's tough. Eurogamer, no score, I guess, on these, or I guess they don't have a score. I don't know if they do that. An interesting reworking of the traditional Pokemon gameplay for an open-world setting brought low by its lifeless environments and graphics. IGN, I'm still looking forward to spending a lot more time in Paldea before finalizing my review and putting a score on it next week, especially as I see how the online multiplayer works once it goes live. I just wish the region was more... I just wish the region was the beautiful expansion Pokemon stuff Paldea the artists and designers clearly envisioned and tried to present to me, and not the slow-moving, muddled, oddly lit Paldea I've been struggling my way through for the last week. That's tough. Polygon, as its baseline, it's a compelling enough Pokemon game with stories among the series' most memorable. However, as I reflect on Scarlet and Violet, I do find myself thinking back on Pokemon Legends Arceus more fondly. It had some loose screws of its own, but it's heightened so many more, ones that still jostle in Scarlet and Violet. I'm hopeful that Arceus is the foundation for the next outing in the series, even if there are lessons to be learned in the open fields of Paldea as well. Final one we'll read for this video. From The Verge. None of these issues amount to a deal breaker. This is a clip from the review, so I guess they talk about a lot of issues. I had a lot of fun with Violet and Scarlet. I've already gone back into the world after the credits rolled so that I can fill out my Pokédex and dig into the post-game missions. There's not many of those. The present of Pokemon is arguably as good as it's ever been. This new release is huge and varied. It took me 30 hours to wrap up the main storyline, and there's still lots to do. I haven't even been able to try out online features yet. At the same time, I feel like we've reached the limit of what the Switch is capable of, at least for this style of game. I don't think people understand how this works. It's not because the Switch isn't powerful. If the Switch was more powerful, that would give them an easier pass. But we're going to have the same thing happening most likely when the Switch 2 comes out inevitably in a couple years, where they release a Pokemon game that isn't up to standard and people are going to be like, oh, this is underpowered. It's not an excuse. At a certain point, it stops being an excuse. There are open world games that run fine on the Nintendo Switch, and I've gotten a lot of comments like, well, Breath of the Wild has a way bigger development team, had way more time in development. I don't care. I'm the end consumer. I want a game that looks and runs well. But regardless, overall, decent reviews. It's a 78. It's lower than Sword and Shield, which I think is going to scare a lot of people off. But yeah, I thought this would be a fun video to make. I definitely feel vindicated after so many freaking people in my comments calling me out, calling me a hater, when this is the consensus. It is a 78. I think I pretty much agree with that. I think I actually predicted it would be like an 82 in my server. It's lower than that. Let's just refresh it. Maybe it's updated now. Nope, still 78. So let me know, what do you think of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet reviews? Are you still excited? You should be. If you like if you're a huge Pokemon fan, bro, it doesn't matter. You're gonna like Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. That's why I like Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and they are very fun games. So let me know, are you still excited? And yeah, of course, subscribe here for more Scarlet and Violet videos. I'm gonna have a ton of guides posted in a couple hours when I can post a gameplay. So yeah, stay tuned for all that. So subscribe, like the video, follow me on Twitter, join the Discord, all that fun stuff. Link down below. And until next time, folks, peace.